Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you're a returning visitor. My name's Lottie, this is Fish People Music, and this is hopefully the first in an infrequent series about equipment that I think is kind of weird but also kind of cool and deserves a bit more attention than it got when it was first released. So without further ado, the Vox AV60. It's 60 watt amplifier, 1x10 I think combo, and it's what feels like an attempt to address every guitarist's whinging. I mean, we complain a lot. Valve amplifiers, oh they're great but they're heavy and they're difficult to maintain. Transistor amplifiers, well they're easier to maintain than valve amps, but oh they don't sound quite as good. Hybrid amps, oh yeah they sound great, but you know, sometimes the real sound of a valve amp is in the output stage being driven hard, and then you know, we want more channels, but we also don't want them to sound like the same amplifier on two different channels. So can we have an amplifier that sounds like lots of different amps, but we don't want it digital? Oh no, we don't like digital. You know, so can you get something that's not like that? And to be honest, I'm surprised that more manufacturers didn't just tell us to F off, because it's like it must be so disheartening whatever you come out with. Some git turns around and says, yeah, but however, Vox released this. It is a 2-channel modelling amplifier that has analog channels, non-digital modelling, and there's six different modelled preamps per channel. I mean, they're the same preamps, but each channel can select them independently, with a valve preamp, which is a 12AX7, and a power section that features a 1 watt valve amplifier that runs into a 60 watt transistor second power stage. So it is an analog hybrid valve transistor amp that is also packed with digital effects. It's like literally, what more do you want? And naturally it didn't really sell. So yeah, let's take a bit of a closer look at this, and I'll go through the features and talk a bit about it, and then maybe we can see what it sounds like. So follow me to the control panel. Okay, so here's the control panel. The usual guitar input, foot switch input that controls effects and preamp channel. Then we move on to the preamp stage. We can select either foot switch or with the button, and each channel has the option of essentially four types of preamp that are further down divided into 2 options for each. So essentially 8 preamps per channel, independent EQs and independent volumes for each channel, followed by an overall power output, which is great because it means that you can have your preamp gain pinned, your power amp gain on the valve side of it pinned to get that valve power valve distortion sound, but also play at bedroom friendly levels. And then we have our effects selector, which I will get to later. It's possibly the one part that lets this down, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And then here is where we can see our lovely valves, and if I switch it on, and we can see the lovely blue, the 2 valves behind it, and switches for essentially EQing the preamps slightly more. We've got brightness and fatness, And then for the power amp, we can adjust the valve bias and reactivity to, again, just affect the tone a little bit and give it more of that overdriven valve power stage sound. So yeah, that's the control panel. Okay, so I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's, as you saw, it's an amplifier that has like 8 different preamps that you can choose from, and each of its 2 channels can have any of those preamps, and or you can have like both running on the same one but with different EQ settings. I think it's really neat. I think it's bonkers that they decided to do it completely analog as well. Like, this was right on the cusp of amps being kind of disposable, which is, I think, probably where Vox started to lose their market share, if I'm honest. You know, we look back in history and you've got the AC30 and well, the AC30 and their concert series, which I actually have one that needs restoring, which was essentially a Marshall. That was when they were owned by Morris Rose or distributed by them, and essentially had their amps designed by Marshalls, and they were awesome, but they didn't seem to be keeping up. But these days they've gone even further down that line of being almost not seen as pop, certainly in the scenes that I'm involved in the UK, not seen as serious musicians' equipment, which is a shame, because I think these deserve a bit more credit than just being seen as disposable, like dishwashers of the guitar amp world. Okay, so back to where I was going with this is that aside from being surface mount tech, the only other real letdown is the effects loop, or not the effects loop, sorry, the built-in effects. They're all digital, which I don't have too big a problem with, I guess, because they sound decent. But whoever designed the UI needs taking out the back and having something dropped on their head. I'll demonstrate for you. I'll show you. Okay, so I've got my guitar plugged in, I've got the amp turned on, and I've got a lovely clean signal. And if I want to change how much of this effect is in my signal path, I can just turn it up on here, and I have plenty of lush modulation goodness. And it's the same for all 3 effects. Push and hold to turn this one off. Turn the delay on. Very short delay there. But can you see where the issue is? Okay, that's a nice short snappy delay, but what if I wanted a longer delay? How would I go about that? And this is where the UI really lets this amplifier down. So to adjust the parameter of this effect, I have to press and hold and then turn it down and then bring it all the way back up to my desired level. And then down and back up, and then there's no way of adjusting the parameters of the effects without basically having to turn the control knob all the way down, then back up to where you want it, and that leads to it being kind of imprecise and also really finicky. Like, for example, okay, so I want a little bit of a faster delay, so I'll do that and then turn it down, but you have to go all the way down so that it so that you know that you're coming from a point of zero. And now that I've brought it, yeah, you get the idea. They're lovely sounding effects in my opinion. They're just a little bit difficult to come to terms with using. You know, and I think that really lets the amp down. And so that's that, the Vox AV60, the analog modelling, digitally affected transistor valve hybrid super duper throw everything at the wall amplifier that just didn't seem to get much traction. Yeah, I'm gonna make some noises on it now, but before I do that, thanks for watching. If you like these sorts of videos, then click the button for that. If you want to subscribe, please do. If you want to buy me a coffee, there's a link for that in the comments below. Not the comments below, in the description box below. Yeah, that's it really. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, cheerio.